Today we continue our quest to find the most and discover the most obscure rogues galleries, starting today's episode with Iron Man from Marvel Comics. The first villain or rogue of the Iron Man gallery is surely enough the Mandarin, which is one of Marvel Comics' most iconic supervillains, created by Stan Lee and Don Heck in Tales of Suspense 15 of 1964. As Iron Man's definitive archenemy, he serves as Tony Stark's ideological and mechanical mirror, representing ancient tradition, conqueror mindset, and looted power against Stark's modern innovation and self-made heroism. Born in China before the Communist Revolution to a wealthy Chinese father claiming descent from Genghis Khan and an English aristocratic mother that both died shortly after his birth, he was raised then by a bitter aunt who spent his entire fortune training him into a ruthless, highly educated warrior philosopher. When the government seized his remaining estate, he traveled to the Valley of Spirits and found the crash site of a Mark I spaceship, a race of dragon-like aliens. He killed the surviving extraterrestrial, Axonkar, and harvested the 10 alien power rings that served as ship's engine components. Beyond the rings, he often utilized alien spaceships, giant robots, and dragon-like genetic experiments, such as Fing Fang Foom, that we'll later see. Ironmonger, known as Obadiah Stane, is the original and primary Ironmonger, introduced as a ruthless corporate raider and psychological adversary who systematically dismantled Tony's life. He represents Tony's dark corporate reflection, a man who views business as a chess piece and people as disposable pawns. The iconic armor first appeared in Iron Man 2000 in 1985, illustrated by Mark Bright, is his most, let's say, famous appearance. Traumatized as a child by his father's suicide during a game of Russian roulette, Stein became obsessed with absolute control, probability, and psychological manipulation. Justine Hammer, known as the second Quizmon Cowell and the daughter of Iron Man's longest rival, she's had a secret child with Iron Man's nemesis, the Mandarin, their daughter, Sasha Hammer. She led an incarnation of the Masters of Evil, orchestrating grand extortion schemes and clashing repeatedly with the Thunderbolts. Madame Mask, known as Whitney Frost, is a former lover of Tony Stark, turned criminal leader of the Maggie Syndicate. Recognized by her golden face mask, she debuted in Tales of Suspense 97 in 1968 as Whitney Frost, and in Iron Man 17 in 1969 as Madame Mask. Created by Stan Lee and Gene Colan, she was born the daughter of Count Lucchino Nefaria, leader of the Maggia crime syndicate. Giulietta was given up for adoption to protect her identity. She was raised as Whitney Frost by the wealthy Frost family. After her adoptive parents died, Count Nefaria revealed her true lineage and groomed her to take over his criminal enterprise. Following a plane crash that left her face severe scars, She adopted her iconic golden armor plate mask to conceal her appearance and assume the mantle of Madame Mask. Ghost, a paranoid anti-corporate saboteur and elite hacker who wears a suit allowing him to phase through solid matter and render himself invisible. He is an anti-corporate vigilante, industrial saboteur, and elite mercenary who first appeared in IronMan 219 in 1987. Crimson Dynamo, known as Bagroove Dynamo, is one of Iron Man's oldest recurring adversaries in Marvel Comics, debuting in Tales of Suspense 46 in 1963. Designed as the Soviet Union technological counterpart to Iron Man, the mantle is a legacy identity passed down to more than a dozen individuals. The creator, Anton Vanko, the original Crimson Diamond, was an Armenian Soviet genius who created the armor to manipulate electromagnetism. After being defeated by Iron Man, Vanko defected the US and joined Stark Industries before sacrificing his life to protect Tony Stark from Soviet assassins. Titanium Man, known as Boris Balsky, is a recurring supervillain created by Stan Lee and Don Heck, debuted in Tales of Suspense 69 in 1965. Built as the Soviet Union's direct propaganda answer to Iron Man, the armor trades agility for brute strength, standing significantly taller and bulkier than Tony Stark's suit. He famously challenged Iron Man to a televised combat match in neutral territory, Labrador, to demonstrate Soviet technical superiority, though Iron Man defeated him. Whiplash, Mark Scarlotti, debuted in Tales of Suspense 97 in 1968 as a disgraced Stark employee turned assassin for the major crime syndicate using cybernetic titanium whips. He later adopted the name Blacklash. Ezekiel Stein, known as Zeke, is one of Iron Man's most prominent 2001 21st century comic book antagonists, created by writer Matt Fraction and artist Salvador LaRocca. In 2008, the Order 8 Invincible Iron Man #1. He represents a generational ideological threat to Tony Stark. He is the son of Ironmonger. Ultimo, created by Stan Lee and Gene Colan in Tales of Suspense 66 in 1976. 76. Tales of Suspense 76 in 1966. Ultimo is an ancient alien doomsday machine and one of Iron Man's most destructive physical threats. Standing between 25 and 16 feet tall, he functions as a walking apocalypse rather than a traditional mastermind. Ultimo was constructed thousands of years ago by an unknown alien civilization. After wiping out the planet Rajak in the 1840s, surviving Rajaki lured him into a meteor shower, causing him to crash land in China. Detroit Steel is a corporate-sponsored heavy warfare power armor created by Marvel Comics writer Matt Fraction and artist Salvador LaRocca. It first appeared in The Invincible Iron Man 25, 2010, as a jingoistic militarized rival to Iron Man. The Controller is a long-standing supervillain created by Archie Goodwin and George Tuska, first appearing in Iron Man 12 in 1969. He is primarily known as a recurring enemy of Iron Man, but also Captain Marvel and the Avengers. Plagued by illness as a child, Sanders grew obsessed with control. He became an electromechanical research scientist, but his unethical and volatile behavior got him blacklisted from legitimate research facilities. During an argument in a lab, his brother Vincent inadvertently caused an explosion. The blast left Basil severely scarred and paralyzed. Galtweed and Vincent founded an automated lab where Basil designed a microsurgically attached endoskeleton to regain mobility and absorb the mental energy of others. Living Laser. He is a recurring supervillain created by Stan Lee and Don Heck, making his debut in The Avengers 34, 1966. Primarily associated as an antagonist to Iron Man and the Avengers, Parks evolved over the time from a gear-based scientist into a being composed entirely of pure light and energy, hence to the name Living Laser. Spy Master, primarily serving as a master espionage operative, an enemy of Iron Man, appeared for the first time in Iron Man 33 in January of 1971. Created by Hulk political writer Stan Lee, Roy Thomas, and Johnny Romita Jr. Blizzard, which actually are two characters, which are Gregor Shapanka and Donny Gill. Were a supervillain primarily associated with Iron Man's Rogues Gallery, otherwise they won't be here, defined by cryokinetic technology and career spent walking the line between hired muscle and reluctant anti-hero. Introduced of Tales of Suspense 45 in 1963 as Jack Frost, a disgraced Stark Industries employee who took cryotech. He later took the mantle Blizzard before being killed by 20s Iron Man Arno Stark. Donald Donny Gill, most famous, debuted in Iron Man 2023 in 1987. A low-level mercenary recruited by Justin Hammer, Donny was given a Shapanska upgrade cryosuit and became the definitive Blizzard. Technovore is a self-replicating techno-organic parasite driven by an insatiable hunger to consume and assimilate technology, data, and organic matter. It functions as a living technological virus. His debut is recognizable to Iron Man 2019-4 in July of 1993. Writer Len Kaminski and artist Kevin Hopgood created onboard this character. The Stark Enterprises orbital facility was the one who made this creature, let's call it like that, and the entity originated as a rogue nanotech organism designed to reassemble raw materials. It went out of control, consuming the space station crew, merged into a single collective consciousness, and nearly destroyed the station before Iron Man intervened. The Melter is one of Iron Man's classic Silver Age rogues, best known as a corporate rival turned supervillain who built a career around liquefying Tony Stark's armor. Appeared in Tales of Suspense 63 in March of 1965, created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Organ was a corrupt industrialist and military defense contractor whose company, Organ Industries, was ruined when the US military cancelled his contracts due to the poor quality control, awarding them to Stark Industries instead. While attempting to salvage his faulty equipment, a malfunctioning radar device emitted a beam that instantly melted iron and steel. Realizing its potential, Organ adapted the tech into a ray gun to seek revenge against Tony Stark. Firebrand, first appearance in IronMan 27 of 1917. Son of corrupt industrialist Simon Gilbert, after participating in civil rights marches and anti-war demonstrations, Gary concluded that peaceful political systems were useless and turned to radical eco-terrorism and anti-capitalist violence. He's an expert physicist who built the thermal-powered exoskeleton. It granted him super strength, lifting up to 60, 15 tons, flight up to 30 meters, and wrist-mounted head projectors capable of melting Iron Man's armor. Firepower. Pilot of a heavy military suit armed with a massive firepower and experimental tactical missile. Unicorn, a Soviet agent equipped with a helmet featuring a powerful energy projecting projectile. Fin Fang Foom, a giant alien dragon-like creature from the planet Maklu 4, frequently manipulated by the Mandarin to attack Iron Man. MODOK, the mutated leader of the Advanced Idea Mechanics, a floating cyborg head dedicated to hyper-advanced science and global conquest. Ultron, though primarily an Avengers foe, his rogue AI was originally built in comics by Hank Pym, frequently targeting Stark's technology. Hal's Arsenal, a deadly robot created by Howard Stark during World War II as a fallback defense, which later malfunctioned and fought Iron Man. Mullen, a domestic terrorist who injected himself with the biotech extremist virus, acquiring superhuman speed, strength, and electrical blasts. Gargantus is an obscure Silver Age villain who holds a fun piece of comic history. He was, in fact, one of Iron Man's earliest enemies. Created by Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Robert Bernstein, Gargantus made his debut in Tales of Suspense 14 in April of 1963, just one issue after Iron Man's first appearance. Despite looking like a 12-foot tall loincloth wearing caveman, Gargantus was actually a massive robot for some reason. The Phantom, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in the Avengers number 2 of 1963, the Space Phantom is an alien shapeshifter and servant of Immortus. He can copy the exact form, memory, and powers of any creature. When he takes someone's appearance, that person is automatically shunted into the limbo dimension until he changes shape again. The Termite is an obscure minor villain who debuted in Iron Man 189 in 1984. Neil Donaldson was originally an ambitious sculptor. One morning, his latent mutant powers awakened, giving him the ability to disintegrate solid matter. Rather than using his powers for good, he dreamed of carving the world's largest statue out of a literal mountain. To fund this absurdly expensive art project, he turned to industrial sabotage under the codename Termite. Kala is a deep-cut villain created by Stan Lee, Robert Bernstein, and Jack Kirby, making her debut in Tales of Suspense 43 in 1963. She rules over Netheria, also known as the Netherworld, an underground city that was once part of an ancient Atlantis kingdom before it sank into a subterranean cavern. Netheria survived the sinking of Atlantis thanks to a massive protective dome. As queen, Kala commanded an army equipped with advanced This ensured greater rays, teleportation technology, and seismic weaponry. Seeking to conquer the surface world, she captured billionaire Tony Stark to force him into building a surface transportation device for her forces. Stark instead built a suit of IronMan armor, captured Kala, and flew her up to the surface. Mr. Doll is an obscure Silver Age Marvel Comics supervillain. Another one, created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. He debuted in Tales of Suspense 48 in December of 1963. Best known historically for forcing Iron Man to upgrade his armor. When Mr. Doll blackmailed the steel magnate, Iron Man intervened. At the time, Tony Stark wore his bulky golden armor. Mr. Doll molded the talisman into Iron Man's likeness, subjecting Stark to intense agony and forcing him initially to retreat. And finally, we close our list with the Face Thief, real name Kao Goto Suru, which is an obscure, trust me, really obscure, supernatural villain created by writer Len Kaminsky and artist Tom Morgan, debuting in Iron Man Annual 14 of 1993. He is an ancient Shinma, a type of demon originating from Yomi, the underworld of Japanese mythology. Centuries ago, Kao Goto Suru arrived on Earth, murdered a high-ranking Japanese warlord named Tezuka, skinned his face, and wrote it. Posing as Tezuka, he orchestrated a bloody rebellion against the Japanese emperor to spread chaos. The emperor's samurai eventually exposed the demon, leading to the creation of an heroic lineage known as the Masters of Silence. Descendants of these warriors eventually trapped the Face Thief inside an ancient mystical mask. In the present day, wealthy and collector Quaketon McCall bought the mask. When McCall accidentally cut his hand on it, the spilled blood broke the seal, unleashing the Face Thief. The demon devoured McCall and stole his skin to infiltrate his society. After taking over McCall's life, the demon's unnatural behavior drew suspicion from McCall's daughter, Meredith, and the Masters of Silence. Tony Stark, operating a life model decoy, remote suit, investigated and confirmed via thermal imaging that McCall had no human body heat. This, of course, brings the Iron Man to fight the monster. And with that, we close this episode of the full Rogues Gallery series. I hope that you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Please leave a comment, a like, and subscribe. Bye bye.